I found the receipt on a Tuesday, not tucked away in some dramatic hiding spot, not password protected on her laptop, just sitting there on the kitchen counter next to the coffee maker, crumpled and ordinary. The Ashford Hotel, room 414, 3 nights. I smoothed it out with my thumb while the coffee dripped behind me, each drop marking another second of my old life ending. The date stamped across the top read March 15th through March 17th. I remembered those dates. Remembered Chloe kissing me goodbye that Thursday morning, her overnight bag slung over her shoulder, telling me her sister Emily was going through a rough patch with her husband and needed support. I'd offered to come along. She'd said no, that it was sister stuff, and she'd be back Sunday. She'd texted me pictures, Emily's apartment, the two of them having brunch, a sunset over Portland's skyline. I'd sent back heart emojis and told her I missed her. The receipt showed a king bed, not 2 queens. Room service for 2 every night. A minibar tab that included champagne. Chloe was still asleep. I could hear her breathing through the bedroom door, that soft rhythm I'd fallen asleep listening to for 6 years. The receipt was dated last month, the same week she'd told me she was visiting her sister in Portland. I didn't yell, didn't storm into the bedroom or throw things. I folded the receipt into a perfect square and slipped it into my wallet behind my driver's license. Then I poured my coffee, black, and sat at our kitchen table watching the sun come up over Seattle's skyline. The apartment was quiet. Too quiet. The kind of silence that happens when you realize everything you thought was solid is actually made of paper. Our wedding photo hung on the wall across from me, both of us, younger, happier, believing in something that had apparently already started rotting from the inside. That's when I started planning. My name is Mark Sullivan, systems analyst for a mid-sized tech firm called Integrated Solutions, the kind of job that sounds impressive at parties, but really means I fix other people's mistakes all day. I debug code, patch security holes, explain to executives why their brilliant ideas would crash the entire system. I'm good at finding problems, good at seeing patterns, good at knowing when something's about to break before anyone else notices. Chloe always introduced me as my husband who works with computers, which somehow made me sound both boring and 12 years old. At parties, people's eyes would glaze over when I tried to explain what I actually did. Chloe would touch my arm and change the subject to her design work, which was always more interesting. She had that gift, making people pay attention, making people want to be around her. We met at a coffee shop 7 years ago, Victrola on 15th before it got too trendy. She'd been sketching in a moleskin notebook, freelance design work for some boutique clothing company, and I'd been dorky enough to compliment her line work. She'd looked up with these dark eyes that seemed to see right through me and smiled. "You know design?" she'd asked. "I know when something looks good." Smooth. But she'd let me sit down. We'd talked for 3 hours. She told me about growing up in Tacoma, about her dream of running her own design studio, about how she'd dropped out of art school because it was teaching her to think like everyone else. I told her about growing up in the suburbs, about my boring but stable career path, about how I'd never been good at anything except understanding how systems worked. "Everyone's a system," she'd said. "You just have to figure out the pattern." I'd fallen in love right then. The proposal came 2 years later on a beach in Oregon. Nothing fancy because we were saving for the apartment. Cannon Beach at sunset, tourists everywhere, but I didn't care. I'd practiced the speech in my head 50 times. When the moment came, I forgot all of it and just asked. She'd cried and said yes and kissed me while tourists applauded. We'd had in our hotel room 3 times that night, urgent and desperate and perfect, and I'd thought I was the luckiest bastard alive. The wedding was small. City Hall, 20 guests, reception at a restaurant we couldn't really afford. Chloe wore a simple white dress she'd found at a vintage shop. I wore the only suit I owned. Her sister Emily was maid of honor. My brother David was best man. Everyone said we looked happy. We were happy. At least I was. At least I thought we both were. I finished my coffee. The receipt stayed in my wallet, a small square of paper that weighed 1,000 pounds. Chloe emerged around 9, wearing one of my old college t-shirts and nothing else. University of Washington, faded purple, holes in the collar. Her dark hair was messy in that way that used to make my chest tight. Now I just noticed the blonde roots growing in, the expensive highlighting she'd gotten 3 weeks ago that cost $200 we'd argued about. "Morning," she said, kissing my cheek. Her lips were dry. They used to be soft. When had that changed? "Morning." She poured coffee, added that vanilla creamer she loved, the expensive organic kind from Whole Foods, not the regular stuff from Safeway, stirred it exactly 12 times. I'd watched her do this 1,000 mornings. Today I counted, 12 precise stirs clockwise, the spoon tapping against the ceramic mug on the last rotation. "You're quiet," she said. "Work stuff. Johnson screwed up the back end again." She wasn't listening. She never did when I talked about work. She scrolled through her phone while drinking her coffee, thumb moving in that endless Instagram cycle. I could see the screen reflected in the kitchen window. Pictures of her friends, ads for yoga pants, a video of someone's cat, some guy's gym selfie. She lingered on the gym selfie, double-tapped it. The little heart appeared. The guy was shirtless, flexing in a mirror, #blessed, #grinding, #no days off, tribal tattoo on his shoulder, jawline that could cut glass. "I've got a client meeting at 11, she said, not looking up. "Probably run late." "Sure. New restaurant downtown, that Italian place everyone's talking about. Might be good for us to try sometime." "Sounds good." She looked at me then, really looked, and I saw something flicker across her face. Guilt, maybe. Or just irritation that I wasn't asking questions, wasn't engaging, wasn't playing my role in whatever script she'd written. "You okay?" she asked. "Fine. Just tired. You're always tired lately. Work's been heavy." She nodded and went back to her phone. The conversation was over. In the window's reflection, I watched her smile at another gym selfie. Same guy, different pose. Comments underneath, "Looking good. Fire emoji beast mode goals." Chloe had liked those too. I went to work. The drive took 40 minutes through Seattle traffic, enough time to think, to plan, to let the cold certainty that had settled over me that morning expand into something solid and permanent. At my desk, I opened a spreadsheet, started documenting. Times, dates, inconsistencies. The Portland trip. Other trips I'd been too trusting to question. Late nights at client meetings. New clothes she'd bought. Perfume I didn't recognize. I worked backward through our joint credit card statements. Found the Ashford hotel charge. Found others. Different hotels, different dates. All on days she'd said she was working. February 3rd, the Maxwell Hotel, 1 night. January 12th. The Ashford again, 1 night. December 8th, some boutique place in Belltown, 2 nights. All charged to our joint account, all hidden in plain sight because I'd never thought to look. I added it all to the spreadsheet, labeled it Q4 Infrastructure Review so nobody would look twice. Then I got back to work like nothing had changed. I didn't confront her. That's what everyone expects in these stories, right? The big dramatic showdown, tears and accusations, maybe some thrown dishes for effect. But I'd spent 12 years analyzing systems, finding the weak points, understanding how things break. I understood Chloe was already broken. I just needed to document it. That night I suggested we grab drinks with her friends. Chloe looked surprised. I usually avoided her social circle like a plague ward, but she agreed after a moment's hesitation. "Really? You want to go out with the girls?" "Yeah, why not? I feel like I've been antisocial lately. Should make more effort." Her eyes narrowed slightly. "You hate going out with them." "I don't hate it. I'm just usually tired. But I'm making an effort. Isn't that what you wanted?" She couldn't argue with that. "Okay, I'll text the group." We met them at some downtown bar called Remedy, all exposed brick and Edison bulbs, and craft cocktails that cost $18. The bartender had a handlebar mustache and wore suspenders. A chalkboard menu listed drinks with names like The Prohibition and Gatsby's Last Stand. Her crew consisted of 4 women who treated social media like a competitive sport, each one carving out their specific niche in the ecosystem of the performative friendship. Jessica was blonde and loud, always the first to arrive and last to leave, posting stories from every angle of every moment. She worked in marketing for a tech startup and talked about disrupting and synergy like they were religious concepts. Divorced once already at 32, currently dating a guy who was definitely not like her ex. Amanda was quiet but vicious, the kind who stayed silent during conversations, then delivered cutting observations that made everyone uncomfortable laugh. She did something with data analytics and made good money, but lived in a studio apartment in the U District because she was saving for a house, even though everyone knew she spent most of her income on designer handbags. Riley had married rich at 24 and wouldn't let anyone forget it. Her husband ran a small investment firm that his father had started. She didn't work, spent her days at barre classes and charity luncheons, posted pictures of her everyday outfits that cost more than my monthly rent. She had that peculiar quality of people who've never struggled. Everything was an adventure, every minor inconvenience a crisis worthy of sympathy. Stephanie worked in PR for a boutique firm called Elevate Communications, managing social media for local businesses and acting like she was handling Fortune 500 companies instead of 12 employee operations. She had business cards with titles that changed every 6 months, currently senior brand strategist, and talked about her clients with the reverence most people reserved for family. "Mark!" Jessica squealed when we arrived, like she hadn't spent the last 6 months barely acknowledging my existence. "You never come out?" "Thought I'd surprise everyone," I said, smiling the smile I used in meetings with executives. "Drinks?" the mustache bartender asked. "Espresso martini," Jessica said immediately. "Moscow Mule," Amanda added. "Do you have champagne?" Riley asked. "I'm feeling celebratory." "We'll take a bottle of the Veuve," Stephanie said, like she was ordering at the French Laundry instead of a downtown cocktail bar. "Just a beer for me," I said. "Whatever IPA you have on tap." The drinks flowed. I nursed my beer while they worked through espresso martinis and Moscow Mules and glasses of champagne that cost $20 each. Chloe relaxed, laughed, touched my arm occasionally in that performative way that meant she was showing her friends we were fine. "See," her body language said, "we're still good, still solid, nothing to worry about." Around drink 3, Jessica leaned toward Chloe. The alcohol had made her eyes bright, her movements loose. "So how's your trainer working out?" The emphasis on trainer, the little smirk that followed. Amanda caught it and smiled into her drink. Riley raised her eyebrows. Stephanie was checking her phone, not listening yet. Chloe's face flushed. "Great. I've lost 5 pounds." "I bet you have," Amanda said, and they all laughed except Stephanie, who was typing something. "Trevor's intense," Chloe continued, playing it casual. "Really pushes me, but it's worth it." "Oh, I'm sure he pushes you," Jessica said, and they laughed again. I smiled and said nothing, just memorized every word, every look, every tell. The way Chloe's hand went to her necklace when she was nervous, the way Jessica glanced at Amanda before making comments, the way they all knew something, shared something, kept something from me. "Mark doesn't mind all the training time, do you, babe?" Chloe asked, drawing me into the conversation. "Not at all. Whatever makes you happy." "See?" Chloe said to her friends. "He's supportive." "That's so important," Riley said seriously. "Derek would die if I spent that much time with a trainer. He gets jealous if I talk to the mailman." More laughter. I filed away that detail too. Riley's husband was controlling, insecure, useful to know. When Chloe went to the bathroom, Jessica turned to me. She was drunk enough to be honest, sober enough to pretend she was joking. You're being a good sport about the trainer thing, right? What do you mean? Oh, nothing. Just that Chloe's been spending a lot of time at the gym lately. She giggled. But that's what we all need, right? A little motivation. Right, I said, maintaining that same pleasant smile. I mean, Trevor's hot. Like, really hot. If I weren't with Brad, I'd totally… She stopped herself. But Chloe's just working out. You know that, right? Of course. Amanda was watching me carefully. You're very understanding. I trust my wife. Something passed across Amanda's face. Respect, maybe. Or pity. Hard to tell. I bought the next round, made sure everyone's glasses stayed full, asked questions about their lives, their jobs, their problems. People love talking about themselves, love being heard. By the end of the night, I'd learned Jessica's boyfriend Brad was pressuring her to move in together, but she wasn't sure. Amanda had been passed over for a promotion at work and was quietly job hunting. Riley's marriage wasn't as perfect as Instagram suggested. Derek had a drinking problem she hid from everyone. Stephanie was sleeping with one of her clients, a restaurant owner who was definitely married. All of it filed away. All of it potentially useful. The bathroom visit took 15 minutes. When Chloe came back, her lipstick was fresh and her pupils were dilated. She'd definitely been on her phone in there, texting someone who made her smile that particular way. She kissed my cheek again, same spot, same dry lips. Having fun? Yeah, your friends are great. She looked surprised but pleased. They are, right? We left around 11. In the Uber home, Chloe checked her phone constantly. I watched the screen's reflection in the window. Messages coming in every few seconds. She was typing fast, deleting, retyping. The behavior of someone being careful. Fun night, I said. Your friends are great. She glanced at me, suspicious. Since when? Since always. I just don't always show it. She softened, leaned against my shoulder. You're sweet when you want to be. I could smell her perfume, the same one I'd bought her for Christmas. Chanel something, $200 at Nordstrom because she'd hinted at it for months. Underneath it was something else. Different cologne. Not mine. Heavier, more aggressive. The kind gym guys wear too much of. At home, she said she was exhausted and went straight to bed. I stayed up watching Netflix with the volume low, some documentary about penguins I wasn't really watching. Around 1 a.m., her phone buzzed on the coffee table where she'd left it charging. I didn't touch it, just noted the time, 1:07 a.m. It buzzed again at 1:15 a.m., 1:34 a.m., 2:02 a.m., 2:18 a.m., 2:45 a.m., 3:11 a.m. Someone was very eager to talk to my wife in the middle of the night. The phone's screen lit up with each message, but I couldn't see the content from where I sat, just the notifications. Just the evidence that someone was thinking about her while she slept in our bed. I added it all to the mental spreadsheet, date, time, frequency, building the case piece by piece. I started documenting everything. Not in some psychotic way with corkboards and red string like some conspiracy theorist. I'm not insane, just methodical, just careful. Just doing what systems analysts do, collecting data, finding patterns, preparing for when the system inevitably crashes. I opened a private spreadsheet on my work computer, labeled it Q4 Infrastructure Review, so nobody would look twice. Used company time to track my disintegrating marriage. Maybe that was unethical. I didn't care. The spreadsheet had multiple tabs: timeline, dates, events, inconsistencies in her stories. Financial, unexplained charges, cash withdrawals, client dinners that seemed expensive for freelance work. Communications, times she was on her phone, who she was texting, how long conversations lasted. Physical, when she came home with wet hair. When she wore new lingerie I hadn't bought her. When she smelled different. Social, what her friends said, what they implied, what they knew but weren't saying. The numbers told their own story. Times Chloe said she had client meetings. 17 times she actually worked on design projects at home. 4. Unexplained expenses on joint credit card, $2,847. Nights she came home after 9 p.m. 12. Number of times she initiated. Staying together in the last month, 0 times I initiated and was rejected. 6 times. She checked her phone during dinner. Average 14. New clothes purchased in last 2 months. 8 items, total $1,200. Times she mentioned Trevor the trainer. 23 times she quickly changed the subject when I asked follow-up questions. 19. I also started paying attention to the gym schedule. She went every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 6 p.m., like clockwork, like an appointment she couldn't miss. She'd pack her gym bag in the morning, leave work clothes in it, say she'd shower there because it was easier than coming home first. On the 3rd Wednesday, I left work early and followed her. The gym was called Apex Fitness, one of those places with floor-to-ceiling windows so everyone on the street could admire the dedication inside. Located in Fremont, expensive neighborhood, expensive memberships, the kind of gym that served kombucha and had eucalyptus towels. I parked across the street in a loading zone, hazards on, pretending to check my phone, waited. Chloe arrived at 6:05 in her Civic, pulled into the lot. She was wearing yoga pants and a sports bra under a zip-up that probably cost more than my car payment. Lululemon, judging by the logo. Another new purchase I'd seen on the credit card statement. She looked good. I hated that I still noticed. Hated that part of me still wanted her even knowing what I knew. She went inside. Through the floor-to-ceiling windows I could see the front desk, the rows of cardio equipment, the weight section in the back. She checked in, said something to the guy at the desk that made him laugh, headed toward the weights. A guy approached her within 30 seconds, tall, maybe 6'2", muscular in that way that requires hours of daily dedication, tan, even in Seattle winter, tight Under Armour shirt, basketball shorts, cross trainers that probably cost $200, dark hair styled with too much product, that same jawline from the Instagram photos, tribal tattoo on his right shoulder, visible when he moved. Trevor. He touched her lower back while pointing at some machine. Not a friendly pat, a familiar touch, the kind you give someone whose body you know. They worked out together for 45 minutes. I watched the whole thing. He spotted her on squats, hands on her hips, face too close to hers. She laughed at something he said, touching his arm, fingers lingering. They moved through machines together with practiced coordination. This wasn't their first session. Maybe not even their 10th. Between sets, they talked. He'd say something, she'd throw her head back laughing. She never laughed like that with me anymore. At 7, they left together through the back exit. I didn't follow. I already knew where they were going. The Ashford Hotel was 6 blocks away. Room 414, probably already reserved, already paid for on our joint credit card. Instead, I drove to the apartment and made dinner. Pasta with marinara, garlic bread, salad. Her favorite. Set the table. Opened wine. Made it look like I'd been home all evening being a good husband. That night, Chloe came home at 9:30, hair wet from the gym shower, smelling like generic gym soap and something else underneath. Sweat, maybe. Or sex. Hard to tell. She kissed me hello that same dry peck and said she was starving. I made pasta, I said. Oh my God, you're the best. She ate while scrolling through her phone, occasionally showing me some meme I was supposed to find funny, a cat playing piano, a video about Mercury being in retrograde, some celebrity gossip I didn't care about. How was the gym? I asked. Good. Exhausting. Trevor really pushed me today. Trevor. She said his name the way people talk about friends, casual and comfortable, like I should know who he is, like he's part of our lives now. That's great. You're making awesome progress. She smiled, genuine for once. Thanks, babe. I really think this is helping, you know. I feel more like myself. I'm happy for you. You should come sometime. Meet Trevor. He's really good. Could help you get in shape. The casual cruelty of it. Suggesting I need to get in shape. Suggesting that I meet the man she's sleeping with. Not even hiding it well enough to avoid that. Maybe, I said. That night I told her my back was bothering me and slept on the couch. She didn't argue, didn't ask if I needed anything, just said okay and went to the bedroom alone. I lay there in the dark, listening to her move around. The bathroom sink running, her phone buzzing, her quiet laugh at something on the screen, and I smiled. Because now I knew. Now I had confirmation. Now I could plan. The talk came on a Sunday evening. We'd spent the day doing couple things, brunch at Portage Bay, a walk around Green Lake, browsing Elliott Bay Book Company. It felt normal, almost good, and I'd let myself slip into the old comfort. Chloe had held my hand. We'd laughed about something stupid, some inside joke from years ago that still landed. The weather had been perfect. Spring in Seattle, the kind of day that makes you remember why you live in the Pacific Northwest. Cherry blossoms everywhere, sun actually breaking through the clouds, people out with dogs and strollers and hope. At the bookstore, Chloe had pulled me to the design section, showed me a book about typography she wanted. Birthday present, I'd asked. Maybe. Your birthday's in 4 months. So, you could get me an early present. I'd bought her the book. $50. She'd kissed me, a real kiss, soft and warm like the old days. Thank you, she'd said. I love you. I love you too. And in that moment, I'd almost believed we could fix it. Almost thought maybe the hotel receipts were a misunderstanding. Maybe I'd imagined the cologne. Maybe Trevor was just a trainer and I was paranoid. Then we got home and she asked if we could talk. Those 4 words that end everything. She sat on the couch, legs tucked under her, wearing jeans and one of my flannels, looking young and nervous and beautiful. I knew this look. I'd seen it on employees right before they quit, on friends right before they confessed something terrible, the look of someone who'd made a decision and was about to destroy your world. I've been thinking, she started. Okay. About us. About our relationship. I sat in the chair across from her, kept my distance, waited. I love you, she said, and even managed to make it sound sincere. You're a good person. A good man. But I'm not in love with you anymore. There it was. The phrase every relationship article warns you about, the final verdict wrapped in terms of sensitivity training and therapy. The line that means she'd already decided, already moved on, already found someone else. I see, I said. She blinked, surprised I wasn't reacting. I just think we've grown apart. We want different things. You're so focused on work, and I need someone more present, more engaged with life. The script was so obvious I could have recited the next part myself. She'd probably rehearsed this with Trevor, maybe even with her friends over those $18 cocktails. Probably texted it to them. I'm going to tell him tonight. Probably got encouraging messages back. You got this. You deserve to be happy. More engaged, I said. Yeah. Someone who wants to try new things, take risks. You're comfortable and that's great, but I need more than comfort. What kind of risks? She looked uncomfortable. I don't know, just living more. Being spontaneous. Like gym memberships and hotel rooms? Her face went pale. What? Nothing. Just asking what you mean by spontaneous. I just mean, look, we got together young. We've been together 7 years. I think we need to figure out who we are separately. By dating other people. I didn't say that. But that's what you mean. She looked away. I don't know what I mean. I just know I'm not happy. When did you stop being happy? I don't know. Gradually. It's not your fault. Isn't it? No. You're great. This is about me. What I need. What do you need, Chloe? She took a breath. I need space. Time to figure out what I want. Who I am. So what are you saying? I think we should separate. Not divorce right away, just take a break. Figure out what we really want. Take a break. A phrase people use when they want other people without technically cheating. The phrase that means they've already got someone lined up. I see. You're not upset? Would that help? She looked confused, like I'd broken the script. I just expected, I don't know, more of a reaction. I'm processing, I said. This is a lot. I know. I'm sorry. She reached for my hand. I let her take it. Her fingers were cold. They'd always run cold. I used to warm them between mine on winter walks. I do still care about you. I want us to be friends. Friends. Eventually. I know that's hard now, but where will you stay? She blinked again. What? During this separation. Where will you stay? Oh, I figured I'd keep the apartment. It's closer to my clients. And my gym. Of course. The apartment I'd paid 70% of the rent on for 4 years. The apartment where we'd moved in together, where we'd had our first dinner party, where we'd talked about maybe starting a family someday. The apartment she'd brought Trevor to. That was a guess, but probably accurate. And I'm supposed to move out? Well, she had the decency to look uncomfortable. Your job is remote sometimes, right? You could stay with your brother for a bit, or get a studio, just temporarily, while you figure out what you want. While we both figure it out. I nodded slowly. Okay. Okay? I'll start looking for places tomorrow. She looked relieved and guilty in equal measure, like she'd expected a fight and got cooperation instead. Thank you for being so understanding. I know this is hard, but I think it's the right thing for both of us. Sure. I'm going to stay at Jessica's tonight. Give us both some space. All right. She stood, started gathering things. Overnight bag, phone charger, that typography book I'd bought her 3 hours ago. She paused at the door. Mark? Yeah? You really are a good guy. I hope you know that. Thanks. She left. I sat there in the quiet apartment for a long time. Didn't cry. Didn't break anything. Just sat and let the certainty settle over me like a blanket. Around 11, I pulled out my phone and texted my brother David. You still have that lawyer friend who does divorces? He responded immediately. Yeah. Why? Going to need a referral. Oh, shit. You okay? Fine. Just need to plan. Call me tomorrow. We'll talk. I didn't call him. Instead, I called the lawyer directly, left a message, asked for a consultation. Then I opened my laptop and added tonight's conversation to the spreadsheet. Phase 1 was complete. Phase 2 was about to begin. I didn't move out. That was the first surprise. Chloe came back 2 days later, expecting me to have started packing, maybe to have looked at studio apartments or called my brother about his couch. Instead, I was making dinner when she walked in. Hey, she said cautiously. Hey, want pasta? I made extra. Sure. Thanks. We ate in awkward silence. She kept glancing at me, waiting for something. Anger maybe, tears, accusations, something she could react to, something that fit her narrative of needing to leave. So, she finally said, have you looked at places? Not yet. Oh, when are you planning to? I'm not. She put down her fork. What? I'm not moving out. This is my apartment too. I signed the lease. I pay most of the rent. If anyone should leave, it's you. But we agreed. You decided. I didn't agree to anything. Her face flushed. You said okay. I said okay. I'd think about it. I thought about it. Answer's no. Mark, you can't be serious. Very serious. You want a separation? Fine, we're separated. But I'm not leaving my home because you decided you need to find yourself. She stood up, agitated. This is crazy. How are we supposed to live together if we're separated? Like roommates. You do your thing. I do mine. We stay out of each other's way. That's insane. That's practical. She stared at me like I'd grown another head. I can't live with you. Then move out. I can't afford to move out. Neither can I. So I guess we're both staying. She grabbed her phone, stormed into the bedroom. I heard her on the phone within seconds, voice rising. Probably calling Jessica. Probably complaining about how unreasonable I was being. I finished my dinner and did the dishes. The next day, I implemented phase 2 of my plan. Becoming the world's most agreeable roommate while simultaneously withdrawing all financial support. I'd been covering rent, utilities, groceries, insurance, streaming services, her phone bill, everything. Chloe made decent money with her design work, but it came in irregular chunks. She'd learned to rely on my steady paycheck to cover the basics while she spent her income on wants. That ended. I opened a new checking account at a different bank, Chase instead of Wells Fargo. Started routing my paycheck there. Left exactly half the rent in the joint account, $1,200, my legal obligation according to the lease, and nothing more. Utilities, 50-50. Groceries, separate shelves in the fridge, internet, split the bill, streaming services. She wanted Netflix. She could pay for it. Her phone, not my problem. It took her 2 weeks to notice. I'd timed it perfectly. The rent cleared. Then the utility bills started arriving. "Hey," she said one morning, catching me as I headed out for work. She was wearing my t-shirt again. I made a mental note to take inventory of my clothes. "Did you see the electric bill?" "It's past due." "Is it?" "Yeah, they're threatening to shut it off." "You should probably pay it then." She stared at me. "I thought you handled utilities." "I used to. But we're separating, remember? Figuring out what we want. Seems fair we split things 50-50. Mark, the bill's $200, your half is $100. I already paid mine. I don't have $100 right now. The Johnson project hasn't paid yet. That was a lie. I'd seen her credit card statement before she'd changed the password. She'd spent $300 at Nordstrom last week. When will they pay? I don't know. 2 weeks? Then we'll have electricity again in 2 weeks. Her face went red. You're being an asshole. I'm being practical. You wanted independence. This is what it looks like. We're married. We're separated. Your words. Your decision. I'm just respecting what you asked for. I left for work while she was still sputtering. The electric stayed on. She found the money somewhere, probably borrowed from Jessica, but the pattern continued. Internet bill, water, garbage pickup, groceries, the streaming services she loved. Everything became a negotiation, and I gave exactly what was legally mine to give and not a penny more. Her design work, I noticed, didn't seem to be taking up much time. She was at the gym 4 days a week now, sometimes 5. Monday through Friday, 6 p.m. sharp. Sometimes she'd go Saturday mornings too. I started documenting her gym schedule, adding it to the spreadsheet. Cross-referenced it with charges on her credit card, the ones I could still see from old statements before she'd locked me out of the account. The Ashford Hotel appeared 3 more times that month. Room 414 every time. Their special room, apparently. Meanwhile, the apartment became a Cold War zone. Chloe stopped pretending to be civil. She'd slam doors, leave passive-aggressive notes about dishes in the sink, play music loud when I was trying to work. Petty stuff designed to make me uncomfortable enough to leave. I didn't react, just cleaned up after myself, wore noise-canceling headphones, went about my life like she was a particularly unpleasant stranger I happened to live with. The lack of reaction drove her crazy. "Don't you feel anything?" She screamed at me one night after I'd calmly asked her to turn down her music because I had a work call in the morning. "I feel lots of things." "Like what?" "Tired. Hungry. Need to pee. You know what I mean? I really don't, Chloe. You're not upset that our marriage is over?" I'm upset it's ending this way. But if it's what you want, then it's inevitable. No point being dramatic about it. Dramatic? You think I'm being dramatic? I think you're angry that I'm not giving you the reaction you wanted. You wanted me to beg, to fight for us, to make this harder than it needed to be. I'm not going to do that. She looked at me with something like hatred. I don't know who you are anymore. I'm the same person I've always been. You just stopped looking. She went to the bedroom and slammed the door. I heard her on the phone immediately, voice rising and falling in complaint. Probably to Trevor, probably telling him how cold I was, how unreasonable, how impossible. Good. Let her complain. Let her make me the villain. Villains don't cry when the story ends. Jessica called me on a Thursday afternoon. I was at my desk debugging a particularly nasty piece of code when my phone buzzed. Mark? Hey, it's Jessica. Chloe's friend? I remember. Listen, I feel weird about this, but I think you should know something. I minimized my code window, opened a notes app on my phone. Okay. Chloe's seeing someone. That trainer from her gym. Trevor. I let silence sit for a moment, like I was processing shocking news. Okay. More silence on her end. Okay. That's it? What do you want me to say? I don't know. Be upset? Surprised? She's cheating on you. We're separated. You're still married. And this started before the separation talk. Way before. I thought you should know. How long before? Jessica hesitated. At least 6 months, maybe longer. It's been going on a while. How do you know? She told us. Not everything, but enough. And we've seen them together. At bars, restaurants. They're not exactly hiding it. Okay. Thanks for telling me. Are you going to do anything about it? Like what? I don't know. Confront her, leave her, file for divorce, something. I'll think about it. More silence. I could practically hear her confusion. You're taking this really well. Am I? It's weird. No offense. None taken. Thanks for the call, Jessica. I hung up and added everything to the spreadsheet. Then, after a moment's consideration, I sent Jessica a text. Hey, thanks again for calling. I know it was hard. If you ever want to grab coffee and talk, let me know. I could use a friend right now. She responded in 3 minutes. Definitely. Tomorrow? Perfect. We met at Victrola, same coffee shop where I'd met Chloe 7 years ago. The universe has a sense of humor sometimes. Dark and twisted, but still. Jessica was already on her second latte when I arrived, nervous energy radiating off her like heat. She wore athleisure, expensive yoga pants, a zip-up hoodie, pristine white sneakers that had never seen a gym. Her hair was in a high ponytail, makeup perfect despite it being 10 a.m. on a Friday. I feel terrible, she said as soon as I sat down with my coffee. Don't. Chloe's my friend. I shouldn't be here. You're being honest. That's more than she's doing. Jessica took a long sip of her latte, hands wrapped around the cup like she was cold despite the cafe being warm. Okay, I'm just going to say it. She's been seeing Trevor for 3 months, maybe longer. They met at the gym, and it was supposed to be just training, but then he started texting her, and she'd show us the messages like it was funny, and we'd all laugh about it. Then she wasn't showing us the messages anymore. When did you know it was physical? 6 weeks ago, maybe 7. She showed up to brunch with a hickey on her neck and tried to say she'd burned herself with a curling iron. Jessica laughed bitterly. A curling iron, on her neck, like we're idiots. Did you believe her? No, nobody did. But we didn't say anything because she trailed off looking guilty. Because you wanted to see what would happen. She looked ashamed. Yeah, God, that sounds awful when you say it out loud. I didn't judge. People are curious creatures. We love watching disasters unfold as long as we're not in them. It's why we slow down for car accidents, why we watch reality TV, why we gossip about other people's pain. "What's he like?" I asked. "Trevor." Jessica made a face. "Honestly, kind of a douche. He's hot, I guess, if you like that gym bro thing. All muscles and protein shakes. But he talks about his macros more than anything else. And his split. And his gains. It's exhausting." "Chloe seems into it." "Chloe's into the idea of him. The hot trainer who pays attention to her. Makes her feel special, but..." Jessica leaned forward conspiratorially. "He's definitely seeing other clients." "Like romantically." "Other clients? Girls he trains?" "Chloe thinks she's special, but I've seen his Instagram. He's got the same flirty vibe with like 6 different women. Same poses in photos, same comments. Looking strong, gorgeous. Crushing those goals, beautiful. He's running the same game on all of them." I filed that away in the mental folder marked useful information. "Does Chloe know?" "I don't think so. Or if she does, she's in denial. She talks about him like he's her boyfriend. Plans their future together. It's kind of sad, honestly." "Does he talk about her the same way?" Jessica shrugged. "I've only met him twice. Once at the gym when we were picking up Chloe, once at that bar night you came to. He seems, I don't know, like he's playing a role, like he knows what women want to hear and he says it, but there's nothing behind it." "Narcissist? Maybe. I'm not a therapist, but yeah, something like that. Everything's about him, his body, his business, his goals. Chloe barely gets a word in when they're together. She just laughs and agrees with everything he says." We talked for another hour. Jessica seemed to feel better confessing, like she'd been carrying the weight of Chloe's secret and could finally put it down. The caffeine made her chatty, honest in that way people get when they're relieved to finally tell the truth. She told me about the girls' nights, where they'd all encouraged Chloe's affair. "You deserve to be happy," they'd said. "Life's too short." "Mark's nice, but he's so boring. All of them complicit, all of them feeding the fire because it was entertaining." "We're not good people," Jessica said at one point. "Nobody is," I said. "We just pretend better sometimes." When we left, she hugged me, held on a little too long. "You deserve better, Mark. You really do. Thanks, Jessica. I mean it. Chloe doesn't know what she's giving up." I drove home and added everything to the spreadsheet. Then I opened Trevor's Instagram and started scrolling. Jessica was right. His feed was a masterclass in manipulation. Shirtless mirror selfies with inspirational quotes, videos of him training beautiful women, hands on their bodies, encouraging comments underneath. Photos at restaurants with different women cropped just enough that you couldn't tell if they were dates or colleagues. But one woman appeared more than others. Blonde, early 20s, fit in that Instagram model way. Her name was Melissa Chen. Wait, no, can't use Chen. Melissa Foster. She tagged Trevor in most of her posts with the hashtag Team Trevor and lots of heart emojis. I scrolled through her feed, found photos from 2 weeks ago, her and Trevor having brunch, his arm around her waist. Another photo, them at a beach, sunset, looking coupley. Another, his apartment, recognizable from the photos on his feed, her in his kitchen making breakfast. All dated during the same period. He was definitely with Chloe. I screenshotted everything, added it to a folder. Didn't show Chloe yet. Timing was everything. The information was worth more if deployed at the right moment. Like a weapon you save for when you really need it. I started going to Apex Fitness, signed up for a membership on a Monday, paid the ridiculous initiation fee, $200 for the privilege of giving them $120 a month, bought proper gym clothes from Dick's Sporting Goods, established a routine. Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 7 p.m., 1 hour after Chloe's sessions with Trevor. The guy at the front desk was named Danny, early 20s, studying kinesiology at UW, friendly in that overeager way of people who aren't inside yet. Bright eyes, big smile, believed the world was generally good and people were generally honest. I envied him a little. First time at a gym? He asked, probably noting my soft programmer physique. Yeah, getting back in shape after letting myself go. Good for you, man. Let me show you around. The tour included weight room, cardio area, locker rooms with eucalyptus-scented towels, and a juice bar that charged $12 for blended spinach and called it wellness. Everything was clean, modern, Instagram-ready. Motivational quotes on the walls. Your only limit is you. Pain is weakness leaving the body. The only bad workout is the one you didn't do. Danny pointed out the trainers, including Trevor, who was working with some college girl on her squat form. Hands on her hips, face close to hers, saying something that made her giggle. Trevor's popular, I said. Oh yeah. Dude's got a waiting list a mile long. He's good though, really knows his stuff. Used to compete in bodybuilding before he got into training. Does he train couples? Sometimes. Why, you and your wife looking to work out together? Separated, actually. Danny's face fell into practiced sympathy. Oh man. Sorry to hear that. It's okay. Trying to better myself, you know? Get my life back on track. That's the right attitude. Seriously, most guys in your situation just sit around drinking beer and feeling sorry for themselves. You're here. That's huge. Thanks, Danny. Anytime, man. If you need anything, I'm usually here evenings. Happy to help. I worked out like a normal person trying to get back in shape. Treadmill for 20 minutes. Some basic weights. Bicep curls, chest press, nothing impressive. But I watched, observed patterns, noted Trevor's techniques, his schedule, the way he operated. He was good at his job, I had to admit. Attentive, encouraging, knowledgeable. He knew how to push people without breaking them. Knew when to give praise, when to demand more. The women loved him. The men tolerated him with that uneasy respect you give to guys who are more alpha than you. After 2 weeks, I had his routine mapped. Monday, 6 a.m. to 2 p.m., mostly morning clients. Lunch break, back at 4 p.m. for evening sessions until 8 p.m. Wednesday, same schedule. Friday, same schedule. Tuesday and Thursday, off, but he still came in to work out on his own around 11 a.m. Saturday, morning sessions only, 8 a.m. to noon. Sunday, off completely. I also noted which clients seemed more than professional. There were 3. Chloe, obviously. Melissa Foster, the blonde from Instagram. And another woman, brunette, late 30s, who trained with him Tuesday and Thursday mornings and always left with him. Trevor was running a rotation. After 3 weeks, I timed it so I'd be leaving right as Chloe arrived with Trevor. They came through the front doors laughing, his hand on her lower back again, her face bright with happiness I hadn't seen in months. She froze when she saw me. Mark? Hey, small world. Trevor looked confused, glancing between us. He was even bigger in person. 6'2", maybe 220 pounds of muscle. Handsome in that generic way, like someone had designed him in a lab to be attractive. Empty eyes, though. Nothing behind them but ego and ambition. You two know each other? He asked. We're married, Chloe said, voice tight. Oh. Trevor's face did something complicated. Surprise, calculation, discomfort. You didn't mention separated, I said helpfully. It's cool. You must be Trevor. Chloe talks about you all the time. I extended my hand. After a beat, he shook it. His grip was aggressive, trying to prove something. Crushing my hand like it would establish dominance. I didn't react, just smiled pleasantly and waited for him to let go. Yeah, man, just helping her reach her fitness goals. That's great. She looks amazing. You're doing good work. Chloe's face was doing that red thing again. What are you doing here? Working out. New hobby. Danny suggested I try the Friday circuit training. Should be fun. Since when do you work out? Since I decided to make some life changes. You inspired me, actually. Watching you transform yourself. Figured I should do the same. I could see her trying to figure out if I was being genuine or sarcastic. Trevor just looked uncomfortable, like he'd stumbled into a situation he didn't understand. "Well," I said, checking my watch, "I should get going. Got that early call tomorrow. Nice meeting you, Trevor. Chloe, I'll see you at home." The casual way I said home, reminding them both that she still lived with me, that they had to sneak around while I had the home field advantage. I left them standing there. Through the window, I saw them arguing, Chloe gesturing sharply while Trevor looked defensive. Probably her trying to explain why she hadn't told him I was coming to the same gym. Probably him wondering what kind of mess he'd gotten himself into. That night, she didn't come home until midnight. When she did, she went straight to the bedroom without saying anything. I was on the couch watching that penguin documentary I still hadn't finished. Added another note to the spreadsheet. March 27th, confronted at gym. Left together. Returned home alone at 12:15 a.m. Visibly upset. Everything documented. Everything recorded. Building the case piece by piece. The social media smear campaign started 3 weeks later. Nothing direct, nothing I could prove in court. Just a subtle shift in how Chloe's friends posted about her online. Pictures of girls' nights, with captions about supporting each other through hard times, vague posts about recognizing toxic relationships and finding the strength to leave. Riley shared an article about emotional abuse with a comment. "Some people need to read this." Amanda posted a quote. "Not all abuse leaves bruises. Sometimes it's the quiet kind that makes you question your own reality." Stephanie shared something about gaslighting. When someone makes you feel crazy for having normal reactions to their abnormal behavior. Jessica posted a photo from their latest brunch with the caption, "Real friends show up when you're going through hell." Love these women. All of it carefully worded, nothing explicitly about me. But the implication was clear. Chloe was a victim and I was the villain. Her friends were rallying around her, building a narrative for public consumption. I didn't engage, didn't comment or like or defend myself, just screenshotted everything and added it to a folder labeled defamation. Let them build their case. I was building mine. But I did start posting my own content. Pictures of me at the gym, slow progress shots, me alone at restaurants discovering new places, captions about independence and growth, a photo of a sunset over Puget Sound with something about embracing change. Basic, inspirational stuff that made me want to punch myself, but it played well to the algorithm and to people's expectations. The comments rolled in. Friends from college I hadn't spoken to in years. Co-workers who didn't know the situation. Even a few of Chloe's acquaintances who weren't part of her inner circle. "Good for you, man. You look great, living your best life. This is how you do it." King behavior. Jessica liked every post. So did Amanda, interestingly. Riley and Stephanie didn't, but I noticed they viewed my stories within minutes of me posting them. I was playing the same game they were. The difference was I had evidence, and they had feelings. Meanwhile, the apartment continued its slow deterioration. Not physically. I kept my spaces clean, took out the trash, did my dishes. But the atmosphere rotted. You could feel it when you walked in the door. The weight of two people who'd loved each other once and now could barely stand to be in the same room. Chloe stopped pretending to be civil. She'd bring Trevor over some nights, not even hiding it anymore, and they'd occupy the living room while I stayed in the bedroom with my noise-canceling headphones and Netflix. The first time she brought him home, I heard them through the walls. His deeper voice, her higher laugh, the sounds of them making out on our couch. The couch where we'd watched 1,000 movies, where I'd proposed to her, where she'd fallen asleep on my shoulder countless times. I lay in bed, hands shaking with rage, and recorded the audio on my phone. Just the sounds, nothing video. Clear enough to prove he was there. Clear enough for divorce proceedings I hadn't filed yet but would eventually. Evidence. The second time was easier. The third time, I barely noticed. By the fourth time, I was almost grateful. Every time she brought him over, every time they made noise I could record, she was handing me ammunition. One Saturday morning, Trevor stayed for breakfast. I came out of the bedroom around 9 to find him shirtless at my kitchen table, eating cereal from my bowls, feet up on my chair. Our chair. The one we'd bought at IKEA 5 years ago after spending 3 hours arguing about whether we needed the extended warranty. "Morning," I said. He nodded, uncomfortable. Chloe was making coffee in the kitchen, wearing his shirt. It was huge on her, falling to her thighs. She looked young in it, vulnerable, like she was playing house with a new boyfriend, and I was the unwanted parent who'd walked in on them. "Didn't know you'd be up so early," she said. Not apologetic, just stating facts. Couldn't sleep. Weird dreams. I poured myself a glass of water, ignored them both. Trevor watched me like I was a bomb that might detonate. Tense shoulders, ready to move. Guy probably thought I'd start a fight. "This is weird, right?" he finally said. "I feel like this is weird." "What's weird?" I asked. "You being here while your wife and I—" "Ex-wife," Chloe corrected quickly. "We're not divorced," I said mildly. "Not even legally separated. Just going through a rough patch." Chloe's face went red. "We're separated. Emotionally, sure. Legally, no. Still married, still share this apartment. Still technically committed to each other in the eyes of the law." "You're being an asshole," she said. "I'm being accurate. Trevor, how's the training business? Danny mentioned you've got quite the client list." He blinked at the subject change. Yeah, business is good. Busy." "I bet. You've got a lot of clients. Danny at the front desk mentioned you've got a waiting list." "Yeah, I'm pretty booked." "That's great. Really found your calling. How long have you been training?" 5 years. Did some bodybuilding before that." "Impressive. You compete?" "Local stuff. Did okay. Never went pro." "Still, that takes dedication. Must be tough maintaining that physique. All those hours in the gym, all that meal prep." He was starting to relax, falling into the familiar topic of himself. "Yeah, man, it's a lifestyle. Not everyone gets it." "I'm sure. Chloe's lucky to have found such a dedicated trainer, really pushing her to her potential." Chloe looked at me as if she couldn't tell if I was serious or just kidding her. Good. Let her wonder. "Well," I said, finishing my water, "I've got some errands to run. You two enjoy your breakfast." I left for the gym. Let them sit in the uncomfortable silence I'd created. Let them wonder what I was thinking, what I was planning, what I knew. Control through unpredictability. Keep them off balance. Never let them know what you're really thinking. Same strategy I used debugging code. Find the weak points, apply pressure, watch the system break. The first physical confrontation came in the parking garage. I was loading groceries when Trevor's truck pulled up. He got out fast, crossed the distance quickly. "We need to talk," he said. "Okay." "This living situation is terrible. You're making Chloe uncomfortable. It's my apartment. You're just staying there to mess with her head. I'm staying there because I signed a lease. If she's uncomfortable, she can leave." His jaw tightened. "You're being an asshole on purpose." "I'm being practical. There's a difference. She wants to move on. You need to let her. Then she should file for divorce." He stepped closer. "You think this is funny?" "I think it's fascinating. You're sleeping with a married woman in her husband's apartment, and somehow I'm the bad guy. She doesn't love you anymore." "Did she tell you that? Before you started sleeping with her, or after?" His fist came up fast. I stepped back, and his punch hit air. The momentum carried him forward, and I stuck out my foot. Trevor went down hard. The sound echoed. "Careful," I said. "That's concrete." He got up, face red. "You're a coward." "I'm practical." He came at me again and we grappled, his hands on my shirt, mine on his arms. He was stronger, but I was angrier. We fell, rolled. His fist caught my ribs. My elbow caught his nose. Help! Someone help. Doors opened. A couple appeared. An elderly man. Trevor froze on top of me, fist raised. "This man attacked me," I said, voice shaking. "He just came at me while I was loading groceries." The couple looked at Trevor with disgust. "Should I call the police?" the elderly man asked. "No," I said quickly. "He's leaving." Right? Trevor stared at me with pure hatred, but he saw the trap. 3 witnesses, him looking aggressive, me looking scared. "Yeah," he said finally. "I'm leaving." He walked to his truck. As he passed, he leaned in. "This isn't over." "It never is," I said quietly. "But you should know, I've been recording everything. Every time you've been at the apartment, every conversation. I've got dates, times, audio. So if you want this to get legal, I'm ready." His face went pale. He drove off. I stood there checking my ribs, bruised but not broken. I pulled out my phone and took photos. My face swelling, my shoulder bruising. Evidence. Chloe was waiting when I got home. "Oh my God, what happened?" "Your boyfriend attacked me in the parking garage." "He what?" "Came at me while I was loading groceries. We fought. 3 neighbors saw it." She pulled out her phone, started typing. Her face went through expressions as she read his response. "He said you provoked him." "By loading groceries?" "He said you mentioned some other girl." "Melissa, I mentioned that she exists. Is that provoking?" She stared at her phone. "He says he needs space." I watched her face as she processed it. Trevor was bailing. "He says he can't deal with this drama," she continued, voice hollow. "He didn't sign up for a married woman. We're separated. We're married. Legally. Still." She looked up. "You did this on purpose. I loaded groceries. You've been sabotaging us from the start. If your relationship can't survive me existing in my own apartment, maybe it wasn't that strong." "I hate you," she said. "I know." She grabbed her keys and left. I put away my groceries, took more photos of my injuries, wrote up the incident, added it all to the folder. Chloe filed for divorce 2 days later. The papers arrived via certified mail. I opened them at the kitchen table. Standard stuff: irreconcilable differences, equitable distribution of assets, no children. She wanted the apartment, the furniture, her car, and half our savings. I called Patricia Hammond, the divorce attorney I'd been consulting. "She filed," I said. "Good. Means she's impatient. We respond with your evidence." "All of it? Every screenshot, every receipt, every recording?" "We bury her." "When?" 2 weeks. Let her think you're rolling over. Then we hit her." The counter-petition was brutal. I kept the apartment, the savings, my retirement accounts. She kept her car and personal items. No alimony. Clean break. Patricia laid out 6 months of evidence: hotel receipts, phone records, recordings, witness statements, financial records showing hidden income. Chloe's lawyer called it scorched earth litigation. Patricia called it accountability. They met to review the evidence. Chloe's lawyer tried to fight, but the documentation was overwhelming. Hotel receipts on the joint credit card, text messages, recordings of Trevor at the apartment, financial records showing underreported income. "If we go to trial," Patricia said, "all of this becomes public record. Every hotel receipt, every text. Her friends will be subpoenaed. Trevor might be subpoenaed. Is that what she wants?" Chloe's lawyer looked scared. The final confrontation came at Amanda's birthday party. I shouldn't have gone, but Amanda had invited me, and I decided to make one final appearance. Chloe saw me the moment I walked in. "What are you doing here?" "Amanda invited me." "She didn't tell me." Chloe looked thinner, worn down. "Jennifer said you won't negotiate." "That's my offer." "It's not fair." "You're leaving me with nothing." "I'm leaving you with your independence." "Isn't that what you wanted?" I made mistakes. You made choices. Stop calling them mistakes. You chose to cheat. Chose to lie. Own it. Jessica appeared. Maybe we should take this somewhere private. We're fine, I said. Mark already won, Chloe said bitterly. Won? This isn't a game. You played me perfectly. Let me dig my own grave while you documented everything. I protected myself. That's all. You destroyed me. You destroyed yourself. I just refused to go down with you. Riley appeared, drunk. Are you two actually talking? We're negotiating my surrender, Chloe said. I either accept his terms or we go to trial where he presents 6 months of evidence. You're not a terrible person, Riley said. I cheated on my husband for 6 months, lied about it, and tried to take half his money. What would you call that? Relationships are complicated. No, I said. They're not. You either respect someone or you don't. She didn't. Chloe's eyes filled with tears. I loved you. You loved what I provided. You didn't love me. When's my birthday? She blinked. What? My birthday. When is it? August. Something. August 15th. We've been together 7 years. You don't know my birthday. What's my favorite food? My favorite movie? My middle name? She stood there, unable to answer. You don't know. Because you never asked. I was just the guy who made your life easier. That's not fair. Life isn't fair. You taught me that. The party had gone quiet. Everyone was watching. I should go, Chloe said, voice breaking. Yeah, you should. She grabbed her purse and left. Riley and Stephanie followed. Jessica stayed. That was harsh. It was honest. You okay? I'm tired. But fine. Do you feel better? Now that you've won. I thought about it. I don't feel better. I just feel done. I stayed another hour, then left. Drove home through Seattle streets, past all the landmarks of my old life. My phone buzzed. Chloe. You were right. About everything. I'm signing the papers. I didn't respond. The divorce finalized 6 weeks later. Chloe signed everything without changes. Patricia called to tell me it was done. The apartment felt different without Chloe's things. Empty spaces, quiet. Just me and the ghosts of what we'd built together. I'd won. Kept the apartment, the savings, my dignity. Chloe had moved in with Amanda, was rebuilding her design business, posting inspirational quotes about starting over. Trevor had moved on to his next client. I gave it 3 months. I started therapy, talked about trust issues and anger. The therapist asked good questions. I gave honest answers. 3 months after the divorce, I went on a date. Her name was Rachel, software engineer at Amazon. We met for Thai food, talked about work and hobbies. So, what's your damage? She asked, smiling. Recently divorced. Wife cheated. It got messy. How messy? Documented everything for 6 months and used it in divorce proceedings messy. She raised her eyebrows. Damn. Ruthless. Practical. Are you over it? Getting there. We walked around Green Lake. She talked about woodworking. I talked about hiking. At her car, she kissed me. I had fun, she said. Me too. Want to do it again? Yeah. She drove away. I watched her taillights disappear. Then I drove home to my apartment and felt something I hadn't felt in months. Not happiness, not peace, just the absence of anger. I made tea, sat by the window. Thought about Chloe and where she might be. Thought about myself and the calculating person I'd become. Was I better off? Hard to say. I had my apartment, my freedom, but I'd lost something too. Some essential softness, some ability to trust. My phone buzzed. Rachel, thanks for tonight. You're interesting, I replied. You too. Let's do it again soon. Maybe interesting was enough. Maybe this new version, harder, smarter, impossible to fool, was who I was supposed to become. Outside, Seattle hummed. People falling in love. People falling apart. I was just one more person who'd survived something painful and come out different. The revenge was complete. The marriage was over. The anger was fading. What came next was unknown. But for the first time in months, unknown felt like possibility. I finished my tea, went to bed, slept without dreaming of hotel receipts or gym selfies or the sound of my wife laughing with someone else. Tomorrow, I'd wake up single, free, ready to start over. Tonight, I was just tired, and that was enough.